All right, so in this episode, we're going to be talking about ID/credentials. These are the identification cards and licenses that you have to have on you to show that you are certified to perform in a security capacity. There's a lot of different things depending on the state and area that you're located in that you're mandated to have on you. Some security guards in some areas have an identification number, some have a specific badge. But all of the areas that we're potentially going to be working in, you're going to have some sort of identification credentials. Aside from that, working specific posts, if you're working in Social Security Administration buildings or government facilities or even schools, you might have proprietary identification cards for those locations. You want to make sure that you have all of these on you at all times. So let's go over just a couple that I make sure that I have with me every day. Number one is going to be my DPSST card. I'm going to flash it, but not show it because I don't want you guys to see my information here, but this is the card. I have placed it into one of these really cool police officer, FBI over the neck type holders. And that is for a specific reason. When I was working the riots of 2020 in downtown Portland during the George Floyd protest, one of the things that we encountered while working ununiformed, working undercover executive protection, is the police department or the people that were working in that law enforcement capacity down there, when they were making arrests and they were charging into the crowds, they were grabbing people. Now this would be anyone from Antifa to agitators, and even sometimes reporters and people like myself working in a security capacity. Having a badge that's in a setup like this gives you the opportunity, when being approached by law enforcement, to display that. If I had to get down on the ground, I could place it at my back and be down on the ground, so when the officers would come up, they would see that I am a DPSST armed security guard, and I would identify myself as such. You have to also think about being in a situation where you potentially are engaging an active shooter. How do you identify to that law enforcement officer or that law enforcement agency that shows up that you're not the perpetrator, you're actually there as the protector? Also, it's just a great way to make sure that you keep your license on you at all times. Some people choose to wear this over their neck and just place it like that. I have never had an issue of the chain breaking or having any problems like that. I personally, on a daily basis, do not wear it around my neck. I keep it in my pocket. But if I am working ununiformed security, I don't know why I keep saying unarmed security. If I am working ununiformed security, I do wear it around my neck at all times. Other things that you want to make sure that you have, aside from your DPSST or state issued license, would be your concealed carry license. Now, in certain areas, you have to also have a concealed carry license to go along with your state issued license. Now, this is a little known fact to people who are doing security in Portland. There is an ordinance that anyone that is working armed security within the city of Portland has to have a concealed carry license. A lot of people don't know this. There was a handshake deal that was made between the DPSST and local law enforcement that said if you had your DPSST credentials, you did not have to have a concealed carry license. That ordinance has not been removed and is still on the books. And guys, if it's there at some point in time, it could be utilized. So my advice to you, specifically if you're in Portland or you're working armed anywhere else, make sure that you also have your concealed carry license. You don't want to rely only on your state issued certification in case you fall into a situation like this. Aside from having my concealed carry license, I also have a government issued TWIC card. This TWIC card gets you into maritime facilities. If you ever have the opportunity or would like to work on a boat dock or a shipyard, securing boats that are coming in for either drop off or pickup of goods and other things, you have to have this TWIC card. Now, the cool thing about this, aside from allowing you to work in maritime type operations, it also gives you a known identifying number. That number can be utilized anytime that you fly domestically, if you're going to be taking a flight to see your grandparents over the Thanksgiving holiday, you're going to go see that beautiful woman that you're dating in another city over Christmas, you can utilize that known identification number and you can actually skip the security line and go right to the front. When you get to the airport, it gets you through there in about 5 minutes flat. I've utilized it so many times. So aside from having all of the normal things that you would normally carry, your license, your debit card, your credit card if you have one of those, and also your state issued identification, you want to make sure that you're carrying your concealed carry identification and then any identification that is government issued for security purposes or anything that's proprietary to your company or the location where you're working. It's highly, highly, highly recommended that you have a specific type of either wallet or carrying case for all of your identification that stays with your uniform or in the area that you keep your uniform. This way it's very, very easy for you to grab that every single morning. When I come home at night, I have a catch tray that's right there at the front of my door. I open the door, I take my vest off, it goes into a certain location, duty belt goes into a certain location, but everything, my wallet, my keys, they all go into this catch tray. It's right there when I get home, and it's right there before I leave, and it's right by the door. Identification, the number one thing you want to make sure you guys have every day as a part of your checklist.